So earlier this week, I met with a group and we were talking about file upload fields. And their issue was that they have a member enrollment form where the member has to upload their bio sketch. And one, they wanted to make sure that the members had uploaded a bio sketch, but then they also wanted to create a report where whoever's confirming their membership can see their bio sketches and review them. And so we were looking at branching logic and reports as it pertains to file upload fields. So one of the issues with file uploads is that you can't use branching logic in the normal way. For example, uh, if you want your branching logic to show based on like a value, like you do with other fields, you wouldn't be able to do that. But you can do branching logic if that file upload field has a file or not. And then the other thing is in reports, you can't filter on the file name for the file upload in a report. So you can only set a report that the filtering capability with the file upload field is whether or not that field has a file upload or not. So you can't do any advanced filtering. So I thought about it and tried to figure out a way to get around that, and that's what this demo is today. So I built this project that has some simple branching logic here. So first thing, I just have a file upload field and then I have a file upload name field, and we'll get to this in a minute. But right now I just have branching logic for this banner that just says, please upload a file. So if I select a file to upload, once there's a file that's uploaded, now that banner goes away. So that's just simple branching logic. Um, and I'll show you how that's done here real quick in the designer. I just have, so my field is called my upload, and I just have that the banner shows up if that value for my upload is blank. Because what Redcap doesn't treat file upload fields like it treats regular fields. The file upload field, when you put a file there, that file gets stored and you save the record. That file gets stored in the edocs table, gets a unique identifier for that particular document. And then that identifier gets put in the REDCap data table for that field. So it's not that file that you've uploaded isn't being stored in the REDCap data table with like other values, the other data that you're putting in. It's just that identifier. So once it gets a value, or once you upload a field, that my upload field in the data table will have that identifier, and it's just like a 6-digit number, things like that. So you can basically use that with branching logic, because if it's blank, if you don't have a file, if that field will be blank, but if you do have a file, it's going to have that ID number, so you can have that filled in. You wouldn't be able to do something like equals test.docx. Like you wouldn't be able to put the name, because that name is not being stored in the REDCap data table. It's being stored in the edocs table. So a way to get around that, and you can do, so let me back up here before I go into the JavaScript. You can also do, well, actually, this is part of the JavaScript. So let me cover that afterwards. So what I have here is I have a field called file upload, my upload name. And what I'm doing is I'm using JavaScript to grab this file name when I am uploading it. So I'm able to put it in this. And then once I have that name as a field value, Then I can run some branching logic and some reports on it. So the first thing I need to do to get this name is I have to figure out where it lives in the HTML. So the way I always do it is in the inspect tab. So I right click on here and click inspect, and then the developer window shows up, and we can see here that let me see where it usually highlights, but down here. So you can see here that in this span class of file upload, I'm assuming is file upload function, within these span tags, there's a test.docx value. And so I can use JavaScript to grab that from this span class. So in the script here, I have a function that anytime I click on the window, it's gonna perform this function. And you want it this way because if you do it on save or on when the window loads, it's only gonna add that value after you close the record and open it back up again. But when you do it on click, it will automatically fill that in for you. So based on this hierarchy here that you can see down here, I have at the anchor tag, and then I have my upload dash link, and then span.fu dash fn. So I want the value that's in this span. So I have if my upload link span fu fn dot text length is greater than 0. So as you saw in the when I did the branching logic, I'm saying if it's blank or if it's not blank. A way to check that in JavaScript or jQuery is to just check for a length. So if it doesn't have a value, the length is going to be 0. But if it has an ID value, it's going to have a length to it. So if it's 6 characters, the length is going to be 6. And then what I'm doing is I'm creating a variable called upload name. And that's just to keep me from having to use this long piece again here. So I'm assigning that value, this text value, so test.docx, I'm putting in this upload name. And then all I'm doing is I'm putting it in the input field that I have here for file upload name. So if I right click on that, you can see here that I have a my upload name dash tr and then an input. So that's what I'm doing is I'm putting that value, that text value, the file name value that I'm assigning to this upload name variable, I'm putting in here. And then if not, if this length is 0 or is not greater than 0, then I'm just having an empty string. So that's going to clear out the value if we remove a file that's been uploaded. So for example, if I remove it here, then this will, so if I do save and stay, this should disappear. Should have disappeared. There we go. So because I had to click, it's on the click function. So when you click, it'll go away. But this will help because when you save and stay, if you've run something through, if you get rid of it here, it's going to get rid of it here. So what I'm doing, the way I'm implementing that is with the JavaScript injector. So if we go to the external modules, and I already have it enabled, but if you need to enable it, you would click enable a module, and then up here you would just type JavaScript, and then click on enable here when it pops up. But since it's already enabled, it's down here, red cap JavaScript injector. And then this is the code that I'm using. It's the same code in here. That is either adding the value or removing the value. And once we have this set, we can start doing some more complex branching logic and reporting with it. So if we go to the designer here, you can see I have 3 different banners because I have test documents that are Word documents, so or PDFs or text files. So what I'm doing is I'm just saying I want to show this banner if the file name ends with docx. I want to show the docx banner. Same thing here. I want to show this if the ends with the file name ends with PDF. And it's really nice to have these special functions in here because you can, instead of doing sort of like a substring, like what I had done before, I would have done like, give me the right 4 characters of the file name, which you can still do right here. But it's easier to do just ends with, because for each one of these, I would have had to do, like, this one is 4 characters long, this docx, but the rest are 3. So I would have had to have 2 separate formulas. I would have had to have write my upload name, and then I want the last 4 characters for docx. And then the other one here, I would have to have the last 3 characters. So by doing ends with, I don't have to care about the characters. I just have, as long as it's just the last bit of that string. And then I also have one that's my upload here for text. So if we go back to one of the records, and we can just add a record here. So let's do PDF, and then I upload this, and I don't know why it's not popping up. There we go. So it this is after this gets saved. So now it's saying you uploaded a PDF file. And if we go to the reports, so I have a report here that's all records, and you'll be able to see here when you have a file upload field in a report, it adds it as a button that when you click on it, it will let you download that document. The nice thing too that I found is that you can search. So if I do like docx, it'll automatically filter on the file names. That's kind of like a live filter in a sense. Like if I did example, there's only one example here, that'll live filter. But there's no way to create a filter for the value here. So if I just did my upload and I said equals example dot text, nothing is going to show up, because like I said earlier, that value is not stored in the REDCap data table. And so it's never going to return a value, because that's not how the data is saved. But what you can do is, so if I wanted to just see the records that had file uploads, I can do the same thing I did with the branching logic, where I just say that my upload does not equal blank. So that will work as a filter, because similar to the branching logic, it either has an ID value for the edoc or it's blank. And so if we set that to not equal blank, you'll see all the records that have file uploads. You can also do the opposite, and you want to see the ones that don't have file uploads. So for example, if somebody was filled out their member profile and didn't upload a bio sketch, this is how you would do that. You would just set it to my upload equals blank. So if they don't, if there's no edoc value, then that will get pulled into the report. But since we're able to pull out the file name, and this, even though we have this field here, this is just for demonstration purposes, this could be a hidden field. So you don't have to show this on the form. Once you confirm that it's actually pulling in the value that you need, you can hide it and then use it as your filtering criteria in your report. So for example, I have a report that just pulls in the doc files, the docx files. And all I'm doing is instead of the file upload, I'm using the my upload name, and then I'm using similarly the ends with docx, same way I did with the banner. So we have the docx, and then these would be PDFs, and then this one would be text files. And it doesn't have to just be the ends with. You can use the same sort of filtering criteria that you would do on a normal field. So I have one that's just any records that contain the word test. And since all my test documents are called test. They just have different file extensions. You can see here that they're all test, but that example one is not being displayed. So the same thing with a regular report, you would just say that it contains this word test. So that way you can do some more advanced filtering on your report. Because depending on what your situation might be, you may have somebody who's like, you may have multiple file uploads and somebody's putting in sort of like a consent, a medical history, a patient history. And if you have a standardized naming convention for your files, then you could filter it out and say, I just want to know, I just want to see the medical histories, or I just want to see the consents. Or if they're all PDFs, then you could just say, I want PDFs, that kind of thing. But it gives you that flexibility using the file upload name and using the JavaScript injector to grab that value and put it into a field. That way you have access to it. Does anybody have questions about that?